podcast that tries to explain fictional worlds using science. My name is Simon.
And I'm Jeff.
So, Jeff, do you know what still is the largest grossing movie in the world?
Titanic.
It's actually Avatar. Titanic, I think, is like 4th or 5th.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Well, because you got to think like Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War came out, and Jurassic World and it's like Star Wars came out in that time. It's Avatar, and that's what we're doing today. This is not Avatar: The Last Airbender, which we are getting confused about because all of our files are just named Avatar.
Yeah, so this will be really easy to edit later and also upload later.
Yeah, we'll figure out the nomenclature later. So this is the James Cameron Avatar with the Na'vi.
The blue people.
The blue people. For anyone who hasn't seen it, or doesn't know about it, which I find to be the most difficult out of any subject we have done.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's essentially just the story of Pocahontas, but it's with people invading an alien land for resources, and
as opposed to people invading a foreign land for resources.
An entire planet for resources. But the planet's hostile to humans, and it's got like apex predators and stuff, and so they have to come up with really specific machines, and they come up with these things called avatars, which are like biologic creatures that already exist on the planet called Na'vi, but these avatars are just clones of Na'vi that can be controlled by humans.
Okay, I see.
I feel like it's a circuitous way to get around it, but if I remember correctly, the reason they do it is to study the Na'vi, right? Because there's like a xenobiologist or something in the group. Oh,
is that why they don't just send robots?
They're like trying to learn the Na'vi language, understand their cultures and things like that too at the same time, I think.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, right? I don't really remember.
I mean, like, I saw it one time and it wasn't that good, so...
I also saw it one time and that's how I would describe it. It's really just kind of like a basic movie. It's nothing really incredible about it. Well, that's the first thing we're going to try and conquer is the method in which they control these biologic bodies. Because it's strange. They're not robots.
Okay.
They are made by a machine, these avatars, but they're biologic, but they can be controlled using machine.
Okay. Well, by machines or by, like, people interacting with the machines? Like, can you just set them on autopilot?
I think it's people interacting with machines. I think when the person disconnects from the machine, the avatar goes to sleep.
Okay.
And they have to keep on going back to the machine to, reawaken every night with the Na'vi.
Okay.
So how do you control a biologic creature with a brain?
Well, are these... I think we started to touch on it. Are the avatars clones, or are they just, like, 3D printed biological copies?
Good question. I think they're, like, 3D printed biologic creatures. Like, because they're supposed to be somehow connected and similar to the human going into it. And that's specified because the main character of the entire movie is paraplegic, and the reason he gets brought along, originally they didn't want to bring him, is because his brother, this was originally made for, or his twin or something like that, died, and so the only other person that can use this like really expensive avatar is this guy, so they have to bring him instead. So I guess so. Yeah, so because it's 3D printed, you can put anything in the brain that you really want to.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. So
do we think
there's some sort of like control functionality,
and then it's just like radio waves?
Or some other like method to communicate between wherever the cockpit is and where the avatar is.
Okay. Then why is it necessary that the avatar... Okay. So is the reason... Maybe this is what it is. Maybe the reason that the avatar needs to be, like, connected to or...
People specific?
Yeah, it's people specific is because the 3D printed brain in the avatar
Mm-hmm.
is actually just a remapped version of that person's brain.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. That's where I would go. I
Yeah,
think.
so then it's more like a one-to-one comparison between the two rather than having a one brain completely relearn how to
Mm-hmm.
control a different brain. It just can just be
Right.
like, oh, this is firing up. Well, then this is what should be happening. Or this should
Mm-hmm.
be firing up in the other brain too.
Mm-hmm. And it just maps what one brain is doing to, like, the corresponding place in the other brain.
Yeah. That makes the most sense. It seems kind of strange because if that is the case, uh, he would like. I mean, is there like a feedback effect from the fact that he's in his brother's avatar, where like he now has like his brother's thoughts, or he starts thinking like his brother because his brain is being trained in a way where he has to
Mm-hmm.
operate with his brother's brain. That's kind of trippy.
Yeah, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I would ever want this technology to be available.
Yeah, it sounds a
Ever.
little terrifying.
Yes. And I guess what they would probably do is they probably do that hormone that's used in sleep to keep you from flailing,
Mm-hmm.
um, to kind of keep you still because
So,
like
yeah, shut down the motor functions.
yeah, because you're not like flailing about on this bed just like knocking into shit and
Mm-hmm.
bruising yourself all the time. That'd be
Right.
horrible. Okay, so that seems pretty good. Yeah. So the specific thing with the Na'vi is, apart from them being like 12 feet tall blue creatures,
Mm-hmm.
they have these hair braids that have
Okay.
exposed.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it is a thing that have
Alright, continue.
exposed connections that they can
Mm-hmm.
connect not only with other creatures on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
but they can connect with plants, some plants, and
Okay.
each other. And that's their
Right.
way of like mating, which is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Why would that same,
Evolve
like, function... Like, why would they be able to connect with plants? Like, other animals, I guess I can kind of see.
it's like a hyper social adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah, like almost like everything evolves to be what's it called? It's not animal husbandry. What's that called in wildlife when two creatures are complementary to each other? Symbiotics, but it's not like symbiosis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, kind of. I guess symbiotic would be close-ish if they're able to, like... I don't know if, like, one has to... If the Navi are keeping the plants alive that they're then
Well,
mating with, I guess?
I think it's
Kinda?
only yeah. That's the weird part. Um, I think the plant is only like so part of the lore of the world is that the entire planet is like one brain, and
Right.
it's all around this tree, and so you can like connect to the brain of the planet, and that's why I'm saying the plant thing. I don't know if like a Venus flytrap you could connect to that. That seems a little strange.
Oh, okay, so it's just... Hmm. So if it, in theory, is just the one plant, like, to connect to the planet, I guess?
Yeah. So it's a bigger issue is why is this something that exists? I mean, if you have it's exposed nerves is what it is. It's got to be. And so
Yeah, that makes that, like, the most sense for this situation.
why would you have such an enormous weakness just like hanging off the back of your head? I mean, like
Yeah. I mean, evolution... Well, you said it's like a reproduction thing also.
yeah.
So, evolution-wise, I guess for whatever, mammals they have there, just instead of, the genitalia that we have on Earth, they just have...
Genitalia on their heads.
Yes.
Huh. That makes the whole flying creature thing in the
A
movie
lot weirder.
Yeah, it really does.
Uh-huh.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. And are we just assuming that every brain on this planet has adapted in a certain way that it can, because they can communicate across it. It's not just mating. Like, they control.
I remember why I didn't like this movie that much. It's because it's also dumb on top of being not good.
Yeah, so they can connect to like their steeds, which are like horses or like these flying pterodactyl things. So are we assuming that
docking their genitalia together.
By docking their genitalia together.
Great.
Yeah, and also
I'm really, really glad we have realized this.
Gender would be a little weird in this. I mean, relative to human or sexual. I don't know if it would be gender so much as it would just be. There wouldn't be a genetic male or female that we would really know because there's no really external genitalia.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even then, like, one would, carry a fetus through development or not.
So we're thinking it's more like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's really not, okay, I feel like there's not really a need for men in that case. I feel like they would all just be women.
Well, I mean, biologically speaking, that wouldn't it would make sense for them to all be women, so they all have the possibility of carrying child.
That's what makes sense to me, too.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got that figured out. But how do they control or communicate with other creatures with this? Is it... Are we just going, it has to be that they just have like this... Every creature has this part of its brain, like one of the earliest developments in mammalian brains in this world evolutionarily is that
they can communicate with each other. Like that would have to be it. Just there's nerves running through their, I guess, genitalia.
I mean, much like everyone's genitalia.
Huh?
Much like everyone's genitalia, there's nerves running
well,
through it.
Yeah, but they also allow for, like, direct communication between, like, other brains.
Yeah.
As opposed to, speaking in order to communicate with other people.
And this just happens to be every creature? All right, I mean...
it's, like, it's a weird trait, but if that's what was favored on this planet for these conditions, then I guess that could just be what it is.
Yeah, that feels weird. That seems weird. And it might actually even be that's why the predators are so bad on this planet is because they're always so used to communicating with the creature that when they can't, like with humans, they assume it's something that's like uncanny shadow-esque and they want to kill it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So now we can do Gaia Brain, which is like the whole planet, which I think is bigger than Earth. It's like one big brain, and all living things are connected in it. It's very new agey.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, new agey, but also is like something that they can directly touch.
Yeah. Yeah. So I see like a couple of problems with this. One is like the amount of energy that would needed to like to propagate neural signals across a planet.
Right.
And then there's also the issue of nerves, at least as we know them, move at like 270 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. If you put that on the scale of a planet,
like it's going to take a while. It's
like several hours for things to be good to go back and forth across the planet, like sympathetic nervous systems. So maybe the whole planet isn't one creature, but it's a whole bunch of creatures that are like stuck together.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just like a giant colony.
Yeah. And that way you don't have problems with like if you need to do something like respiration. That's something that, or repolarization of your nerves or things like that. That isn't as much of a problem with that time scale if you're only like, well, these creatures they're only like 100 miles large, not
right. So like each creature handles its own living.
Yeah.
But they also all intercommunicate and like work towards one end goal, I guess.
Yeah, so they're kind of like a bacterial colony or a yeast colony. Where they're, That makes sense. Cool. Wow, this is being easy. Um, well, let's do. One thing that's true about the planet is the fact that humans can't breathe the air,
Okay.
which would be. I mean, that'd be fine.
Yeah, that seems straightforward enough.
Yeah, it just doesn't have enough oxygen in the air.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't remember this from the movie, but I did look it up, and apparently the
Mm-hmm.
air is hydrogen sulfide and chlorine.
Okay.
Now, the thing with those two compounds,
Mm-hmm.
they are highly oxidative, which is why they're
Right.
poisonous to people,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretty much eat everything. So why are they not dying? Like, are we saying that Navi's like skin is made of like Kevlar?
Yeah, like I'm not even sure what wouldn't be susceptible to just being like just falling apart when exposed to these chemicals.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it. You could do it. You would need a incredibly stable plastic, probably, or like a glass, like a
Yeah, the
silicon
difficulty
dioxide.
being making plastics in one's body though,
I mean,
right?
so no, you could do it. I mean, you think about plastics. I mean, we're made of plastics. We're made of like long chain interconnected organic compounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like wood's a plastic, but I think the bigger problem is that the expense. It's just an energy expenditure thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
to get a biologic body to create like I don't even know like ABS or anything like that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even think ABS would be able to do this. Acetyl maybe. Acetyl could probably handle this. I should look up. I don't know, but a plastic that's corrosive resistant enough
Mm-hmm.
that this isn't an issue.
Right.
I feel like that's tough. And then also, why aren't they like bulletproof, or why aren't they? I guess they're giant creatures.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That seems tough. And the other thing is, human beings have like exposed skin in this world. Like they're wearing like military fatigues, and they're not burning.
Oh
So
wait, hold on. There also have people on like an atmosphere on this
yeah.
planet.
Oh yeah, they do. They only wear like face masks, and I'm like, if something is out there on an entire planet that's
Mm-hmm.
corrosive enough that it's gonna kill you, and it's not like nitrogen or CO2,
Right.
you got bigger things to worry about than your face.
Yeah, like, the everything else, for
Yeah,
instance.
and it's unlikely that it's CO2. If we're assuming the plants on this planet are like our plants and they consume
Mm-hmm.
CO2 and produce oxygen, this has to be an incredibly oxygen-rich environment because the whole
Well,
planet
they
is
might
covered
not
in
even
rainforest.
necessarily, be consuming CO2 and making oxygen. It could be,
They're consuming hydrogen sulfide and just producing
yeah,
sulfur-based compounds.
yeah.
But then they would clean that up. Like CO2 isn't like a
Well,
big thing in our
maybe,
planet. I mean, it is a big
yeah.
thing on our planet, but not like yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess whatever is predominantly in the atmosphere, maybe that is the end product of
It's the reducing
their plants, like photosynthesis.
yeah the
And,
reducing agent for your photosynthesis.
Yeah, and that's just what the Navi and everything else breathe there.
That just seems. I guess that's how our planet works.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's a stretch. Well,
I feel like it's a
maybe
stretch
the
because-
whole planet is created by a different alien race, and they seeded life on it as some hilarious experiment for them. Like,
So-
here's a bunch of things that shouldn't work. Just throw it all in one planet.
I kind of like that idea. I kind of like the idea that it's like Todd Howard if Todd Howard was the Elemist from the Animorphs. So he would like you create you come up across a planet and you're like, this planet is corrosive and everything sucks. But what if
Yeah.
I created all of these creatures that could live
That could
here and they would
survive.
just live here?
And, like, they would thrive here, even.
Okay, I mean
Yeah.
I actually like that better than anything else we've come up so far. Because,
Yeah, it kind of helps to explain the really stupid exposed nerves thing, also.
like, this is like a 13-year-old kid playing Spore, and being like,
Right.
what's the weirdest thing I could do? Well, let's say that all creatures on this planet communicate telepathically with their genitalia. Yeah, okay. And
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Oh, you could actually even do like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of thing, where you create a computer that is its own ecosystem, so that it's like it's almost perpetual motion, and that's what Gaia Brain is. It's just a really big computer.
Okay, yeah. I like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So one thing is, there are these giant pterodactyl things that they use as mounts, if you remember correctly.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
They're big, but they also have the flying capability to fly with Navi on their backs.
Right, the 12-foot tall alien.
Not
fellas.
pneumaticized bones. Yeah. So how do we create a creature that can? How do you create a creature that can fly like that?
That's capable of doing that. Yeah.
Do we think? Here's an idea. Okay. So what if they fly like normal, like a bird? They have like airfoils for wings, and they have very long wings, and they have pneumaticized bones and all that. But the other thing they have is
thrusters.
Well, yes, but I was actually thinking, what if they had like really severe temperature differences across their body? So they could like heat up air on one half their body and create lift from that as well.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, going off of the life-seeded spore experiment.
This is our 13-year-old boy. Yes.
I guess, yeah, this is our 13-year-old boy created these flying monsters that just the underside of them are terribly hot all of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty much dirigibles.
Yeah.
And then we could also do something, because obviously this is a 13-year-old boy. I remember what it was like to be 13. I mean, we could say that they had propulsion that's just farts. And they just fart into the sky. Yeah, I like that. I like this.
Yeah,
this
that makes sense.
And maybe that's why there's so much hydrogen sulfide and chlorine. Maybe that's what these creatures emit.
It's because they're just farting all of the time.
Yeah. It's not the planet. It's the fact that everyone is farting all the time.
That's just locomotion. You have to.
Exactly.
Oh God, that works. I like it.
Imagine how much like less impressive. It's not how much less impressive that scene is if like all these creatures are like jumping on the back of their flying creatures and they're connecting with it, and then as they dive down, you just hear as they go down constant.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that might be why they cut that part out.
Yeah, there you go. When they were there on Pandora filming the movie, they were like, "We gotta Foley in all this stuff because we can't use this audio.
We'll put a soundtrack over this. Yeah. You won't notice it."
But the funny thing about that would be is that like it would be like the sound of a jet engine, but it would be the sound of farts. The noise of a jet engine, but the sound of farts.
Yeah, right.
Constantly, all the time, over the entirety of the planet.
Yeah, I mean, running with the assumption that this is a 13-year-old boy's experiment, that makes perfect sense. Like, that fits in canon more perfectly than anything else.
Agreed. Okay. So what we're doing?
That explains the face masks, actually, so people don't have to smell the farts.
That's what it is. It's not so much that it's poisonous; it just smells real bad all the time. So the last thing, there's two things, but the last big thing is part of this world is. And the reason they go to this planet is for a material that was so intelligently called unobtainium.
Yep.
The properties of unobtainium.
It's real lucky that, that's what it was called.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the properties of unobtainium we know is that it's a crystalline metal, and we know that it floats.
Okay. It floats on what?
Well,
Water? It just floats.
It floats. It seems to be nearly unaffected by gravity.
Okay.
We've only ever seen it in air, so I don't know.
Right. Well, in air on this planet, or like in our atmosphere as well?
In our atmosphere as well. There's a single piece of it on a spaceship that we see floating, and he like knocks it and it spins as if it has no friction. There's a whole other thing that I just realized is that if they're flying on the backs of creatures, Na'vi must have incredible metabolisms. Like, what is the pressure like at that altitude? that they're not suffocating to death.
Right.
Like, that's insane. You need an oxygen. Like, Na'vi are so big they wouldn't be able to survive in like Denver, much less if they were like in a commercial airline.
Well, yeah, they're real big. They got them big lungs. They just hold their breath the whole time they're flying.
Oh, that's what it is. You're right, because it's all about lung capacity and has nothing to do with the fact that they're gonna burn through that air so much faster.
Right. Well, that's why they have so much more of it.
Oh, so are we also saying that like not only do they have like larger lungs proportional to humans, but they also have like whale-sized lungs? Like they got whale lungs.
Well, I mean, they're not as big as whales.
Yeah, but like whales,
relatively speaking, yeah, like lungs would take up more percentage of their internals than, human lungs.
Okay. Well, there you go. You're just learning. Everyone's learning so much about Na'vi biology right now. Okay, so what was it? Oh, that's right. So this floating material.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. This is a tough one.
Yeah, this one is hard.
The best. I did see. I try not to look into any of this stuff when I'm researching problems with the movie, because I don't want to watch the movie to find problems. That takes too much time. So I Google what the problems are.
Seems fair.
And I saw a lot about magnetism with this material. I don't know what they were referring to. What I'm assuming they're referring to is that if you had a highly conductive material, and essentially it's creating a rail cannon. Like, if you put an electric charge through a piece of metal that's over a permanent magnet, the metal will be repulsed or attracted to the magnet. And you can use this to accelerate things and make things float. So what if Pandora has just an incredibly strong magnetic field, and it's strong enough to induce a current in this material?
Okay.
And then that creates lift. I don't think that's how that works. And I'm trying to remember as much of my E&M physics as I learned, which I'm very bad at. And I'm trying to remember if that works that way. If you put a strong enough magnet through a conductive material, can you get repulsion, or would you only get attraction?
I'm not sure. Yeah, no, we left the realm of biology, so I'm a little bit out of my element on this one, to be honest.
1 second. I know all the words that need to be said in this.
You just need to work out the right order to put them into.
Yeah, man, that's so what if? Yeah, that's a toughie. It's so tough, because I feel like the best way to do this is a rotating magnet like a planet. That does create electrical induction or magnetic induction.
Okay.
And we know this because when they first laid copper wire across the Atlantic, or actually I think it was just across the English Channel.
Okay.
For telegraph lines in Europe, they experienced these it was like noise that was created because the Earth's magnetic field was rotating through the wire, and it was creating induction periodically.
Okay.
And actually Faraday thought you could use the Earth as a perpetual generator for electricity, but it generates such a minute amount. It's not really a practical
I don't
thing.
think that's going to work out that well.
Yeah. So the idea is, well, hold on. Now I know you've shot this down before, but what if it contains monopole magnets? What if it's relic particles? Because that would be a material
that we wouldn't be able to find normally
on Earth. Yeah, we would have to go out into space to get. And if maybe the crystalline structure of the metal isn't actually what's creating the lift, but it's stabilizing the monopoles, and it's keeping them in one place and concentrating them.
Okay.
So then, only on one half of the planet, on one of the poles, are they floating, because they're just being held in stasis between the pole of the gravity from the planet and the push of the magnet. That's not how that works, because gravity gets weaker as you get further away, so you can't do that. Wow, that's annoying. Oh yeah, you could, because the magnetic repulsion would also get stronger as you got closer. So you could totally float things on magnets, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I think so. No?
Yeah. I think so too. Sure. I don't know why I confused myself with that. So I think that's not a bad, that's an actual use for monopole magnets that you could have if you got enough of them.
Yeah, and I think given the rest of the assumptions we've made with this topic, that we can take that assumption as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it works out. Boy, that's weird though. I feel like if I would choose the induction route over this, but I honestly do not remember. I can't visualize how the electric and magnetic fields would interact in my brain well enough to figure out if you can create repulsion with that. And if anything, you create a dipole. So then you have the other half of the material is going to be attracted to the magnetic field. So it doesn't work, right?
Right.
Okay. I know you're the wrong person to ask about this.
It's part that part, okay, I need to look at any diagram to really keep it straight in my head also.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the problem I'm having right now. I think actually the induction doesn't even work, even if it did work, because you would create the opposite pole on the other side. Voila. You have... So maybe... Nope, that doesn't work. Yeah, that is annoying. And the other problem being is that why would this work off planet? Because then you would be removed from the magnetic field of the planet, and why would it work in space? Why would it be floating?
Right.
Why would they have unless they had a magnet underneath it? But then why would you just have magnets? We already can do that. We have magnetic levitation.
Special, foreign planet magnets.
Great. I'm gonna assume so I don't know the economics of this world. I'm gonna assume that real Earth magnets are cheaper than fantasy other planet magnets.
Well, I mean, maybe there's some application for fantasy other planet magnets.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Need them for
if they were superconductors, which would be the induction route, that would be incredibly useful. The holy grail of energy and electronics is finding something that is a superconductor at room temperature. However, again, that doesn't work because you create a dipole. You would have to have an electrically charged object for magnetism to create a constant repulsion like that. That's how a rail cannon works. Is because you have a charged bar that's pushing off of and it's creating a magnetic field that's pushing off the magnetic field on the other side. Yeah, so maybe unobtainium. Maybe it's a radioactive element, and it's constantly decaying, and that decay is creating an electric field, and that's what's pushing off of the Earth.
Okay, yeah, that seems like an easier explanation.
Yeah. And then you would
by far.
Yeah, then you would run into a nice thing where it would be very valuable, because something that could spontaneously generate an electric current like that would mean that you could create safe nuclear energy. And I mean, even if you could figure out how to synthesize unobtainium, that would be incredibly useful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we should go with that. That makes way more sense.
Yeah, I think that one fits better. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just has to have like a really specific decay pattern to generate a field. Mm-hmm. Cool. So the last thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, we already answered it. I was gonna say humanoid aliens, and I like this whole like bit about how panspermia is the reality of the world. But it turns out we already explained that because it's a 13-year-old boy's experiment.
Yeah, no, he just seeded life.
I made it look like humans. Wait, did he create humans?
Are propelled by farts. Maybe. Who knows?
Are we also this 13-year-old's plant experiment?
Well, some of us do fart a lot also, so that could be the case.
That's true. And I mean, some would say breathing is farting from our mouths.
I don't know many people would say that, but
I don't know. I think you could say I think you could make an argument for farting being or breathing being farting from the mouth, or farting being breathing from the butt.
Well,
I mean, I guess you don't inhale from the butt.
That's how that works. No, yeah.
Are you sure? Are you positive?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go with yes. Breathing is not mouth farting.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. We can agree to disagree on this one, but
do we want to take on efficient intergalactic travel?
I feel like we keep touching on that every other episode.
It's such a tough thing to explain because wormholes don't work.
Mm-hmm.
You can only move as fast as the speed of you know what the problem is? You know what the problem is?
What's that?
There's an actual speed limit to the world.
If only it weren't for physics, this would be so much easier.
Exactly. If only you could just change. If only we were living in the Futurama world
where we can move the universe around us.
And all you need to do is just increase the speed of light, and then it's no longer a problem. Yeah. Because this is so it's got to be. Actually, I'm actually fine with this. I'm actually fine with the kind of intergalactic space travel they have, because they don't show any time passing on Earth.
Okay.
So
yeah, if they don't have any frame of reference for it, then
yeah, we could just assume that every single time they travel through space, they're traveling so fast that their time is being stretched out, and for some reason they're not dying because it's still going to take a really long time.
Right.
But the people who are on Pandora and have been, maybe they've been there for like 2 months. The people who are arriving left 2 months before them. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like relative to the people on Pandora, there's a new flow of recruits, but on Earth they're just sending people constantly, and it just happens to be that makes sense.
Like this is the order they landed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm fine with that. I think we actually did everything. This is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, this one went relatively smooth.
And I'm trying to think of. I mean, one of the problems I have is that if the planet is so caustic, and they're blowing up trees and stuff in this movie, why are they not creating enormous fireballs?
I
don't know about that.
Actually,
I feel like
unless they tailored whatever they're using
to Pandora
for that, to Pandora for their atmosphere, for their environment.
Is the name of the planet actually Pandora, or is that from Borderlands?
I don't know.
I think it might be from Borderlands.
Taking your word for it, to be honest with you.
I think the name of the planet is something else. Wait.
Oh, no, it does say it's Pandora.
It is Pandora?
It just also is in Borderlands.
Okay, good.
A very different topic.
Yes. We could also do Borderlands. How do you create an entire economy around gun sales?
Well, once I play the new game with the walking guns, we can figure it out.
There you go. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks to Joe Sopchak for our theme music.
What else do we got? Leave comments, suggestions on iTunes,
or email them to us. You can find all of our information at pedantichandwavium.com.
Or pedantichw.com.
Mm-hmm. We are on, iTunes, Stitcher. You should like us.
Like every podcasting platform, basically.
We're even on
like
YouTube.
us in all of them.
Yeah.
Download us in all of those platforms,
Yeah,
please.
just keep on downloading.
Never stop downloading.
Exactly. Every day you should be downloading us again.
It's a good system. You'll never get tired of us.
Yeah, they'll never see through that.
No. The metrics don't track unique downloads at all. It's fine. Yes, they do.
Well, to be honest, they also track repeated downloads.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, if it's not a unique download.
Yeah. And
so just connect with different IPs, use different computers, create a botnet.
If you want to
download the podcast,
support us more than just downloading the podcast and things like that, and you want to get the word out, tell your friends. You can even just watch the YouTube stuff and then just pause it, because that'll at least move us up in the YouTube. It's true. And that will count as a unique download even if you're downloading our RSS feed, because it's a whole different system.
Right.
And I don't know why YouTube just doesn't also offer. I don't know why they don't just also offer RSS feed stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense if they did, wouldn't it?
It's way more expensive to host videos than it is to host just audio.
Right.
Anyway, thanks for listening. My name is Simon Kozik.
And I'm Jeff Conrad. I'll see you next time. We'll miss you. Goodbye.